think ECC is one of the best meetings on the circuit of colorectal. Has established itself over the years. We see a lot of world-renowned speakers with excellent topics that are covered in depth analysis, discussions. So it's a great faculty and very well-attended meeting for European surgeons in colorectal. All these things like innovations, robotics, technology. And this year I think we are featuring live operating. It'll be interesting to see on day 3. Today is the robotic courses and master classes. So I think it has all the things that you can offer to young surgeons and even experienced surgeons. And I've been part of this for some years. It's great fun. You meet friends, you make new friends, and you all learn by talking to each other and listening and sharing your experience. So I think it's been a great experience and journey over the past few years. I think there's some exciting lectures coming on tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the talks around robotic surgery, and that's an area of my interest. But again, there are some keynote lectures. There is a ESCP presidential lecture by a good friend, Professor Spinelli. So we'll be keen to see what his thoughts are for the future of surgical training and cancer care. And similarly, I think we have, as I said, live operating on Wednesday will be an interesting mix of cases. So very much eagerly await to see how things fold. Yeah, I think technology is expanding quite rapidly. There is a lot of innovation and development happening behind the scenes. There are new robotic platforms coming out in the market, the big challenge is going to be first of all the affordability, because the costs are rising and it's going to be difficult to afford everything, and we have to be a very cost-effective way of managing innovation and harnessing the technological developments. And in parallel, it's all about training and education of the surgeons and the residents and fellows as well. So how do we keep people trained and the workforce trained enough on all those new developments? So every few years, the whole surgical practice changes quite dramatically, which is very different from how it was 10 years or 20 years ago. So we have to be open-minded. We have to have more events like this where you can learn from each other, you can update and learn the latest developments and embrace them in a safe fashion. I think it's exciting times. I think this young generation is already very much attracted towards digital surgery, AI and robotics, because that's an area which is very close to appeals to them. So my advice to them will be to remain engaged, follow the developments as they happen, and join courses and events and master classes and stay up to date with these developments, and they will be able to then harness the technology in the best possible way for their future careers. This course is aimed at surgeons who have previously low experience of robotics, so we are covering basic principles, tips and tricks, setup, and starting a journey in the world of robotic surgery. And I would hope that the trainees will go home with an open mind, and of course it's not going to change them into an experienced robotic surgeon overnight, but it hopefully will give them the insight into the pros and cons and some tips and tricks and some approaches that they can incorporate into their practice and start their journey so that they have an enjoyable experience. I obviously been practicing robotics for about 13 years now, and trained in an open surgical era of TME surgery, working with Professor Heald in Basingstoke, learning principles of open TME surgery, and then learning laparoscopy to replicate what we did in open surgery in a laparoscopic fashion, and then moving on to robot and then trying to replicate the same thing that we did laparoscopically with the robot. And it has been a kind of a journey filled with lots of accomplishments and experiences. I really enjoyed that. But I think the highlight for me was traveling around Europe and abroad and various places where I have trained many surgeons in robotic TME, and many of the places I've been to, my mentor and predecessor, Professor Heald, was there teaching them open TME 20 years ago. So it was a deja vu type phenomena that I was following some of the footsteps and training people in robotic TME in a similar fashion as how an open TME was adopted. So I think the surgical cycle continues. I'm sure in 10-15 years time there will be something different, something new, maybe micro robotics, maybe single port robotics, and that cycle will continue, and that's just the life cycle. And as a surgeon we need to be open-minded and open to change, because that's one thing which is inevitable.